Hey, it's Frank here from data-driven-franksworld.com, and let me get the official graphics up. Probably could have prepared that a little better. My name is Frank Lavinia. I am the blogger behind franksworld.com, co-host of Data Driven, and co-host of impactquantum.com. As you can see, I have a very special and esteemed guest with me. I think it's important to introduce her. Her name is Roxy. She's a dachshund puppy that we got, about a month ago, and she's very sweet. And she is one of the good things that happened in 2020. 2020 obviously has been a very difficult year for a lot of people. There were a few bright spots. I mean, let's be real. I saw someone on LinkedIn had posted an article on how this is one of the worst years in human history. And while it certainly was not a great year, it definitely, I don't think, would qualify for the worst. We do have a vaccine in production, which is probably definitely the record in terms of how quickly a vaccine has been produced. And I also think that we've been very lucky. We've had the internet. Most of us have been able to, a lot of us have been able to work remotely. I'm not taking away the pain. Certainly if you're a small business owner or a restaurant owner or anyone that kind of relies on the hospitality industry or anything that requires kind of that service industry, traditional service industry, it's been a rough year. It's been a rough year for a lot of people. I'm not taking that away. But let's not think that we can just kind of walk away, flip the calendar, and everything's going to be hunky-dory. That's not the case. We have to, I think, change ourselves and make ourselves better. You may notice the new little hat I got. I actually won a max out hashtag max out gear from the Ed Milet show. He has a contest on every day on Instagram where he goes through and picks out people who make comments within a certain amount of time. I was fortunate enough to win a few weeks ago. And if you're not familiar with the Ed Milet show, I highly recommend you look into it. It is definitely, he is a person that has a true gift for inspiring people and sharing others' inspiring stories. I know what it's like to run a podcast, and his podcast is awesome. He's definitely an inspirational person, and he helped me get through some of the tougher moments of this year. So obviously, this has been a tough year. We all lost some folks we love, but let's not take that negativity with us into the future. This has been a stressful year. I think everybody's a bit on edge with anxiety and stress, and it's been an interesting year. Yes, I know, but you were born in it, so it's okay. She was born this year, so can't be all bad, right? I think she hears one of the other dogs barking. She wants to go play. So with that, I just want to say thank you to everyone who made Data Driven a success. We're working on our 4th season. And I know Andy's doing a lot of live streaming. I'm doing a lot of live streaming. Andy and I have some plans in the pipeline that will help folks, max out, if you will, or help develop themselves even more. 4 years ago for me was my 2020, where I lost my job. I had my mom got very sick. I had a concussion. I myself was really kind of just knocked out of commission for just under 2 months. Like, I had a really serious concussion. I don't say this to look for sympathy or whatever. I say this because I bounced back and I made a conscious decision. I don't know if you ever had a concussion, but it's an unpleasant experience that just drags on. You can't read, you can't play video games, you can't watch TV, but I mean, you're just kind of stuck alone in your own thoughts. And I look back and I think that in some ways, that was a gift because that happened about within 2 or 3 weeks. The cat died. My mom got sick, was in the hospital, wasn't clear if she was going to ever get out. I lost my job. It was the anniversary of 9/11. I mean, it was just a fantastic crap show. It was craptacular, as you will. And then I got a concussion, and I thought I've had a concussion before, but I really didn't. Not to this degree. This was the most severe thing. I could only focus for a couple minutes at a time. Anytime I overexerted myself, I would actually get bloody noses. I'd get dizzy and then get a bloody nose. It was so bad that I was at the store and I had to ride one of those little carts because if I walked up too much, that was just too much exertion. So you really just end up sleeping 18, 19 hours a day, which is the part of the body's process of healing. But you're just kind of left to your own thoughts. And I don't know. I look back on that. At the time, it was horrifying. But I look back on it, and it kind of made me look inward and be very introspective and think about, the future I wanted for myself, and start thinking of, well, if I want to do X, Y, and Z, what do I have to do? How would I do the career pivot that I needed to do? How would I do all of these things? And I kind of had a mental list, and I had to write it down because my short-term memory was shot. And I did. And I slowly but surely over the following months, things looked up. I was able to regain my mental faculties, which was truly horrifying to be without that. Just saying. Craft a plan. In fact, Data Driven, the podcast itself, was birthed from that time. So one of the things that Ed Milet likes to say, and I think it's a message that needs to be more widely disseminated, is the idea that life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. And all the struggles that you're going through, believe it or not, there is an upside to that. And it's extremely difficult to see that while you're going through it. And I empathize with that. I can understand. I don't know what everyone's going through, but I do know that for a lot of people, 2020 has been a rough year. You either lost your job, fear of losing your job, you lost somebody, your fear of losing someone. Our normal day-to-day has been turned upside down, right, for months on end now. And I just want to say there's hope. There's hope. Start thinking about how what you've been through can make you better. Start thinking about how you can grow, what you can learn. If you catch yourself saying, "Oh my God, why is this happening? Why is this happening to me?" Catch yourself and say, "What can I learn from this? How can this make me a better person? How can I learn from this?" Hey, Bill, WG, what's up? What's up? Looking slimmer. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so thank you for noticing, dude. I really appreciate it. This time last year, I think I was down like 36 pounds. I did lose some more weight, but the quarantine my weight went down and then up and then kind of down. So I think I'll net out losing some weight for the year. And he has pointed out that I'm doing keto and intermittent fasting. It takes a leap of faith to get into the intermittent fasting thing, but trust me, once you do it, you won't look back. But yeah, I mean, that was one of the things where, so at my heaviest, I was about 350. At my lightest, most recently, I bottomed out at 290, 292. I think now I'm about 305 or something like that, which of course, I know the number 305 has special meaning for folks in Miami, right? Mr. 305. I like to call myself Mr. 301 because that's the area code here in Maryland. But again, it's all about persevering. Like there was a time when my diet got this year completely got sidetracked, right? And I was up from 292 to about 320. But that's right, 305. I think now I'm about 305, 309. I didn't weigh myself in a couple of days, but it's one of those things where perseverance, you can't, if you watch my live stream the other day with baby Supriya, we talked about how I got into Microsoft and how I did that. And, you know, sometimes the people who win are the people who get up just one more time. And I know a lot of folks are like saying how easy I have it. And while I do have it easier than most, part of that was the lessons I took away from 4 years ago. I took a lot of those lessons to heart. I made it a mission to improve myself as much as I can daily, to learn as much as I possibly can. Look at my LinkedIn profile. I think I'm at 84, 85 classes and certifications that I've taken in just the last 4 years, from November of 2016 till about now. And if you look at my Plural site, which reminds me I got to log in and watch some courses, I'm working on 85, 86 days in a row taking classes on Plural site. I don't say this to be like, rah, 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 look at me, I'm great. I say this to show you that 4 years ago, I was just a bad mess. My life was just turned upside down. If you want to go back even further to 2001, 2002, my office was destroyed. My apartment was severely contaminated with dust from the collapse of the Twin Towers. It's just about getting up one more time and learning. And it's just getting stronger, right? And yeah, my man, 305. I love it. I love it. So if you don't know what we're talking about, there's a rapper called Pitbull, who's a pretty cool guy. He does a lot of interesting stuff with the community and helping kids learn and stuff like that. But he's from the original Miami area code was 305, so he calls himself Mr. 305. Anyway, I see a little dachshund puppy running around. So I should probably see what she's getting into. But my message here isn't one of unbridled hope. Hey, get that out of your mouth. He's stealing the other dog's dog food. Anyway, my message here isn't that of, rah, 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 things are going to automatically be better in 2021. Arguably, the pandemics tend to have a trajectory, and things are not going to get better until summer or the warmer weather comes. I mean, that's just how pandemics roll. They take about 1, maybe 2 winters to sort themselves out. And, depending on how you think of when winter starts and ends, we had a half a winter last year. So it's possible that while we are, I think, over through most of it, it's not over yet. And there's going to be economic fallout from this for a couple of years to come. My point isn't to scare you. My point isn't to impress upon you how many classes I've taken or how cute this little puppy is. The point is that if you start looking at the world, what happens, and you start thinking to yourself, what can I learn from this? What can I learn from this? What out of this can make me a better person? You're going to find yourself doing a lot better self-talk, right? And that talk that goes on in your head. And you're going to find yourself thinking better thoughts. Better thoughts lead to better decisions. Better decisions lead to better outcomes. And over time, things will get better. And I know that's easy to say. So adorable, more puppy. Sure, we need more puppies in 2020. Here's 2 of them. There we go. These are my 2 most recent additions to the family. He's very patient with her. You can see she's very fierce. He's something like 10 times her weight. She doesn't know. She doesn't know she's small. And you kind of look at that. Yeah, it's fun to watch them play. And you kind of like, I admire her attitude. She's very feisty. But it's a long-winded way of saying, you know what, 2021 will be better if you decide it's going to be better. And the first thing you have to do is in here. Again, I like this phrase that Ed Milet says, that life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. And it's all changes with your decision and how you talk to yourself, right? What can I learn from this? You know, when I was sitting there kind of sitting in a dark room on the bed for 18 hours at a time, I was like, you know, how can I be better from this? How can I take this layoff that I had? And, you know, I was a Windows Phone programmer, a Silver Lake programmer. How can I take that, and how can I rebuild and refocus my career? And you know, knock on wood, worked out pretty well. But I mean, ultimately, it's about making the decision to be a better person and improve yourself. And I really believe that that's why we're on this planet, this plane, whatever phrase you want to use. We are here to become better. And it's easy to throw up the towel, get frustrated. It's easy to do that, but that's not the right decision. So I'll share something here. So he said, I'm looking slim, right? I actually saw myself in the mirror. I'm like, damn, I put on another 10 pounds. So sometimes, you know, sometimes that aspect of, you know, sometimes you think things are worse in your own head than are in reality. And I don't know. I think that's an interesting lesson. But thanks, man. And you know, also we lost a dog this year, and that was pretty hard. We lost a little dachshund mix. You know, it sucked, and it was just. I mean, this year has been rough. I mean, I lost a couple of extended family members to COVID. I'm constantly worried about my mom because she sort of kind of takes it seriously. Her mom herself was a survivor of the 1918 pandemic. So I'm surprised my mom is not taking this more seriously. You know, interesting. You learned a word that catastrophized. Yes, that's true. That's true. And if you think about evolutionary, like, it makes sense, right? I mean, in some ways it makes sense. I think we kind of overdo it, but you know, we tend to have a negative outlook, and part of that is just survival, right? We are the descendants of people who, you know, who looked at that, you know, the bush on the savannah and saw it moving. We didn't say, oh, what a wonderful flower is in that bush. We are the descendants of people who saw that and thought the worst and ran away. Now, maybe there was just a wind blowing through. Maybe it was a saber-toothed tiger or whatever dangerous animal. We are the great grandchildren of people, because if you stopped and you looked at it and you pondered how wonderful it was, you became somebody's lunch. So there's a certain interesting aspect of that negativity has helped us survive, and you know, it's interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, losing a dog is terrible. It's the hardest thing. We have three other senior dogs. We have a total of 5. Those 2 you saw were the youngest, and if you hear them in the background, they're wrestling. It sucks. I mean, there's just no way around it, and it's just you know, you see them as babies, you see them as, you know, older, and then they die, and they are a member of the family. You know, in fact, there's some members of my extended family. I prefer the dogs way over them. Not my wife or my kids. And anyone who lives with me, they're cool. But they're still fighting. They're still wrestling. But yeah, it is an unpleasant thing to lose a dog, because they're a member of your family. They touch your heart, you know. And I've lost dogs before, and it never gets easier. It does get easy in the sense that you can kind of pick up and move on, and the grief kind of subsides. Grief is a bit like radioactivity. I mean, it eventually it does subside, and you do kind of do that. The puppy wrestling in the background is the chef's kiss. That's funny. This is the first time I'm streaming live up here upstairs. I figured I'd have a nice little festive background, and you know, Also, I got to keep tabs on the kids in the other room. But and this is my last chance to stream in 2020 and kind of give a message of hope. And I feel bad for the folks out there that are just assuming that tomorrow, boom, things are going to get better. They're not. Things will get better when your mind gets better. And I know this from experience. I know this after 9/11, right? I've had people tell me, oh, 9/11 was just one day, and it was no big deal. Well, one, what a day. Two, I'm not going to say the words I say to them when they say that on a professional stream, but I'll just say the letters F, and you are in that response. And it wasn't about Fordham University. But also, 2002 was way worse. I mean, for me personally, every relationship I had suffered greatly because of what happened on 9/11. The radioactivity of 9/11, if you will, the mental radioactivity lasted for a long while. And I'm honestly not sure which was worse, like the actual day or kind of the PTSD and kind of the fallout from the PTSD. I'm actually not sure which is worse. In fact, somebody asked me, somehow I was talking about this at the anniversary of 9/11, and basically they were shocked, and I said, I'd rather live through 9/11 about 10 more times and walk away with, and not then spend a day in the following 12 to 18 months. It was that bad. The difference was that stark. But again, life happens for you, not to you, right? I mean, that the experience I had after that made me a stronger person, made me kind of be much more self-aware. The therapy definitely helped. One thing you do when you deal with PTSD long term is you analyze your emotions kind of in real time, a real-time data feed, if you will. Sorry, I just noticed that the crease I put in it is a little off. I guess I'm old school. I got to have the crease in the hat. But the other thing I want to point out is that, going through what I went through in 2016, having to reinvent my career and reinvent my purpose, like why am I here? And I've written about this, that Blues Brothers moment I had and stuff like that. I resolved that no matter what happens, I'm going to try to be a better person, be a better dad, be a better husband, be a better data scientist, be a better, everything, right? And, are there days I mess up and totally screw up? Oh, yeah. You wouldn't believe. But there are, the general trajectory is good. And I'm just saying, I want to impart that hope, right? And there's two types of hope, right? There's that hope that's naive, and then there's a hope that's well grounded in facts. Don't expect COVID to automatically be better tomorrow, right? Don't expect the economy to be automatically better tomorrow. But the only thing you really can change is what's in here, between your ears, and how you perceive it. So start asking yourself, instead of why did this happen to me? Why is this happening? How can this make me better? What can I learn from this? How can I be stronger next time? Starting in 2017, I made it a commitment to read more, right? I used to read maybe 10, maybe 12 books a year. This year, I shot to get to 72 books per year. I failed, and I got to 62 books. Finished book number 62 today. I don't say that to impress. I'm just saying, I know this personally. The quality of my life went up dramatically when I started reading more. Leaders are leaders. Leaders are readers. You start seeing things. You start understanding the world better. For me, that helped me. Maybe it'll be something else for you. I mean, I listen to audiobooks, listen to podcasts. I read on the Kindle and on dead paper, on dead trees. But that's kind of the message I want to get across. Because I read this thing on LinkedIn. I respect the guy, so I'm not going to call him out. But he said this is the worst year in human history. It could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot worse, right? A few years ago, I was teaching a bunch of high school kids like how to program Windows apps, right? But they were saying, like, well, I encourage them to we live in a world driven by technology. We don't really understand technology, at least the bulk of it. You know, historically, plagues happen about once a century or twice a century. And the important thing is that you have to kind of know how the world works. If something broke down, and be a little aware of how things work. And you know, I said, the bubonic plague, or the Black Death, or the Black Plague, killed 1/3 of the European population at the time. And you know, I just said, look to your right, look to your left. One of you isn't going to make it. Like in that scenario, would not make it. And you know, we are very lucky in the sense that COVID, as bad as it is, hasn't been much worse. I mean, its fatality rate, depending on who you believe, because the data around this has been politicized and weaponized, but it's definitely, the kill rate on this, it has never exceeded 5%, probably never got much above 3%. Still bad, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like Ebola, where it's 80%, right? Look how disruptive this has been. Most of the disruption has been our attempts to control it, not necessarily just in the disease itself. But I mean, could you imagine if 80% of the population, or even 1/3 of the population, was taken out by this? That would be, I mean, that's a disaster movie. This is bad, but it's not that bad. And you're right. I think that's a good way to phrase it. We catastrophized it, right? Because it's sensational. You know, this new strain, oh my God, new strain of it in the UK, right? It's just more communicative. It's not more deadly. It's knock on wood for us. But it's also shown up in Colorado, which is kind of weird, right? For all these lockdowns, how could it get from there to there? There must be a good story behind that. But just stay strong. Start thinking about how you can make yourself better, because you can't make the world a better place until you make yourself better first. So to that end, Andy and I, we're working on a couple of things that I think should help folks transition who have been kind of lost their jobs, or, you know, I think one of the things that we've learned from this, I hope we learned from this, is how delicate and how fragile the service economy is. A lot of jobs, you know, were, you know, based around tourism, hospitality, service economy, have been hit probably the hardest by this, and I don't know what that's going to look like. You know, you look at a movie theater, you see the pictures of the chairs so close together. It's just, if COVID disappeared tomorrow, how long is it going to be before people are going to be comfortable going back to what their lives were before? You know, being on a plane. Right? I saw a picture, you know, one of those like Instagram things where it tells you like, this was your picture from so many you know, years ago. I was on a plane. I was like, oh my God, that's gross. Nobody has masks on. I don't have masks on. I'm sitting next to somebody I don't know. I don't know if that's going to take a lot longer to shake out. But in any case, from all of us to all of you, here we go. That's very appropriate. She's chewing on this. Have a wonderful holiday. Have a happy new year. I certainly hope that the outcomes of the lessons learned in 2020 will help you be a better person and be a stronger person in the future. Oops. So with that, happy new year. I'll see you in 2021, and let's max out 2021 and our potential for who we can be. Thanks, and have a great day. If you're watching this live, like Bill here, thank you. If you're watching this later, thank you. I will try to always respond to all the comments, and as always, have a great day.